Humans are remarkably bad at asking for help. We would rather suffer in silence than just ask for what we need. I know this because I've spent the better part of the last 3 decades mastering the art of avoidance. There's a photo of me, circa 2001, although that might have been obvious from the butterfly clips. And back then, I used to wait until the night before a school project was due before even telling my mom that I needed a trifold poster board from CVS. My mom's in the audience this afternoon, so I'm sure she remembers exactly what I'm talking about. And it's not just budding young scholars who have this problem. Their reluctance to asking for help is a common tendency. It's really uncomfortable, and it requires relinquishing control. We're also social creatures, so we want others to perceive us as competent. It's one of our greatest fears that we'll be a burden to those that we love, or at the very least, we don't want to come off as too needy. And we automatically assume that people are going to say no when we ask for something, when the exact opposite is true. People love having the opportunity to help others, especially during a crisis. In the COVID-19 pandemic, we've all had to rely on help from our family, friends, coworkers, and neighbors. Whether that's asking to be connected to a mental health counselor or coordinating grocery delivery and last-minute childcare. We rely on help from the usual suspects, but people have also turned to an unlikely source to garner support, and that's random strangers on the internet. All right, I'll admit it, I'm that person who at any given time I have my phone glued to my hand. Digital detox is not a phrase that's currently a part of my vocabulary, and if you ever invite me over, just be prepared because I'm gonna ask for your Wi-Fi password. As a historian and someone who works in museums, I'm often asked if I wish I was born in a different decade or era, and the answer to that question is simply no. I mean, we've made a lot of progress. We're working shorter days than we were centuries ago, we have more disposable income, and our life expectancy has gone up. But the one thing that really anchors my belief that I was truly meant to be alive in the 21st century is my ability to connect with anyone from around the world within a matter of seconds. Well, that is at least until the day when we're finally able to smell things through the internet. I've been really looking forward to that. I'm sure everyone here remembers the moment the world went into lockdown. For me, that was March 13th, 2020, when I lost my job. And within a matter of days, I went from discussing complex historical events to binge watching Tiger King. And what followed those first 2 weeks of the initial stay-at-home order was a 6-month-long period of unemployment. So not only was I going out of my mind, stuck inside my house, but my unemployment checks were also delayed by 12 weeks. Fall came, and the challenges that were presented by COVID-19, they just seemed insurmountable. Fortunately, I was able to find a job at a school and later at a museum, but as the pandemic dragged on and on and on, I grew disheartened, as you can tell here. To my surprise, when I turned to Twitter to vent some of my frustrations about how I was feeling, over 1,700 Twitter users interacted with my tweet. I found and connected with my people all because of one tweet, one singular idea. You see, meaningful interactions really can happen in 280 characters or less. There are real people behind those tiny circular avatars and clever usernames. They gave me space to really express myself, and more importantly, they reminded me that I'm not alone. My experience is a shared one on #museum Twitter, where community members will often talk about being underemployed in the field and unfairly compensated. But people there are also tackling much more serious issues. Just last month, 2 employees of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City were attacked while on the job. And this started a conversation on Twitter about how our museum policies and procedures oftentimes fail to protect our dedicated front of house staff. Twitter gave us updates on this event in real time, but also provided us the space to vent our frustrations with the wider museum community. Shortly after, museum advocacy groups, such as the American Alliance for Museums, planned and delivered training to help institutions better support their front of house staff when dealing with hostile visitors. These changes to the museum industry are long overdue, but they were set into motion because we spoke up. Creating a Twitter account is free and easy. All you'll need is a telephone number or an email address. And you can check your Twitter feed from the comfort of your own home. So you can tweet while you're sitting on your couch or lying in bed. No need to get vertical. Horizontal is totally fine. Checking my Twitter feed, liking, commenting, retweeting, and having conversation in the Twitter threads has become a soothing daily ritual for me. Once I scroll past all the content that I don't want to see, like Bridgerton spoilers, do not ruin it for me, I haven't seen the 2nd season yet, I find encouraging messages from people who I really look up to, but I've just never actually met in person. I know that social media has a reputation of being more hurtful than helpful, and I'm not denying that problematic social media use exists. There are a lot of people who are doing the good work to combat the misinformation, the harassment, bullying, and hate speech that really wreaks havoc across all social media platforms. But I think we should spend more of our precious energy really curating virtual communities of supporters who have our backs no matter what, because a sense of belonging, connection, and support naturally arises when we are more intentional about our social media use. We are all going through what will undoubtedly be one of the toughest seasons of our lifetimes. But even in isolation from others in the physical sense, we have a unique opportunity to grow closer together online. Thank you.